There's a kind of tired that sleep doesn't fix, a kind of noise that no volume can drown out. You feel it, don't you? In the quiet moments between distractions, in the pause after the message was sent and no one replied, that hollow ache that curls up beside you at night, whispering, something's missing, and I don't know what. You've tried everything, books, breathing, breaks, blessings, but the storm inside still rages, a restlessness that follows you even into peace. Like your mind is sprinting and your soul is limping behind. Maybe no one told you this, but what you call overthinking might actually be a sacred signal, not a flaw, not madness, but a part of you begging to be heard beneath all the noise. We live in a world allergic to silence. We fill every second, scroll, swipe, speak, solve, because silence is dangerous. It reveals, it strips away, it holds a mirror too close. But what if that silence you run from is not empty but full of truths you buried, full of the self you abandoned, full of the peace you say you want, but fear to face? It's easier to chase light than to sit in the dark, but real peace isn't found, it's remembered, and it remembers you too. So let me ask you something, not with noise, not with answers, but with the space between breaths. What if the peace you seek is hidden in the silence you avoid? You learned early how to perform. Smile when you're not okay. Nod when you disagree. Speak when you want to scream. You became fluent in the art of being acceptable. Not authentic, acceptable. There's a difference, and you felt it every time your heart whispered no, but your mouth said yes. You were never taught how to be yourself. You were taught how to be liked, how to be easy to digest, how to be safe in a world that punishes depth, silence, difference. And so you built a mask, not out of vanity, but survival. A mask of I'm fine, a mask of I've got this, a mask of noise, always doing, fixing, explaining, achieving. Because silence might expose the truth, that you've forgotten who you are without the act. It's not your fault. The world rewards the echo, not the voice. It celebrates the loud, the certain, the shiny. But what about you? The quiet, the unsure, the scarred. Where does that self belong? You began to live inside a performance, a silent theater where every move is calculated, where you say what they want to hear, where your real thoughts become background noise. And somewhere along the way, you lost the ability to hear your own soul. This is the prison of self-denial. It has no bars, just expectations. It has no guard, just your own fear of being seen. Because being seen means being known, and being known means risking rejection. So you hide, not in shadows, but in roles, in conversations where you laugh without feeling joy, in routines that keep you moving so you never have to stop, in the comfort of being busy instead of being honest. But here's the quiet truth no one told you. The real you isn't gone. She's waiting. He's watching. They're beneath the mask, whispering softly every time you fall silent. I'm still here. The noise you surround yourself with, it's not just distraction, it's protection. From the pain, from the truth, from the fear that maybe, if you stood still long enough, you'd unravel. But unraveling is how you come home. It's not destruction, it's revelation. You can't meet your true self if you're always playing someone else. So let's pause. Let's stop performing. Just for a moment. Let the silence say what words never could. Let it strip away every should, every must, every fake smile. Let it show you the shape of your soul without the costume. Because silence isn't empty. It's sacred. And when you stop filling it with noise, you finally start hearing the parts of you that have been begging to speak. Ask yourself, who are you when no one's watching? What parts of you only exist in quiet? And are you brave enough to meet them? Because the peace you're searching for, the stillness, the clarity, the deep exhale, it's not out there. It's behind the performance, beneath the mask, inside the silence. And if you dare to listen, you'll hear a truth softer than words, but louder than fear. You were never too much. You were never not enough. You were just buried under the noise. And now, you're starting to remember. If your silence could speak, what would it say about you? Write like no one is watching, like it's the first time you're being honest, not to impress, not to explain, just to release. What rises when the world gets quiet? What truth whispers when you stop pretending to be okay? Maybe this will be the first time you're truly heard, and that is a beautiful beginning. There's a silence that doesn't feel peaceful. It feels like a weight, heavy, cold, like walking through a fog where you can't quite see yourself. And maybe that's what hurts most, not being lost in the world, but being lost inside your own skin. You try to explain it sometimes. You say things like, "I'm just tired," or "I'm going through something." But the truth is harder to name, because the pain isn't always sharp. Sometimes it's a dull ache, a background hum of emptiness you've carried for years, and no one sees it. Because you laugh, because you show up, because you've mastered the art of looking okay while falling apart. But inside, there's a storm, a quiet breaking, a question that echoes louder with every silent night. Will I ever feel whole again? You weren't born with this weight. It grew, slowly, from moments you thought you'd already survived. Rejections that told you you're not enough. Abandonments that whispered you're too much. Losses that carved holes in places no one can touch. These are the silent architects of your pain. The memories that never left. The feelings you weren't allowed to feel. The grief that built a home inside your body and called it normal. And somewhere in all of this, you learned to cope by doing, fixing, helping others, working harder, proving your worth in a world that made you question it. But pain doesn't disappear just because you're busy. It waits, patiently, in the quiet, in the pauses, in the spaces where your distractions fade, and all that's left is you. And here's the paradox. The pain you run from is also your teacher. Not because suffering is noble, but because suffering reveals. It shows you the places you've abandoned yourself. It shows you the parts of you still bleeding in silence. And it invites you, gently, painfully, to come back. In Buddhism, suffering isn't an enemy. It's a messenger. A bell that rings when something in you needs to be seen, not solved. You don't need to silence the pain. You need to listen to what it's trying to say. Because beneath every breakdown, there's a buried truth. You are still here, still breathing, still becoming. And maybe, just maybe, your sadness is not a flaw. It's a doorway, a sacred crack in the surface of your life where the light gets in. So let yourself feel, without rushing to fix it, without needing it to make sense. Let the tears come without shame. Let the silence hurt, not as punishment, but as invitation. Because when you finally sit with the pain, when you stop trying to escape it, it begins to soften. And in that softening, you realize something life-changing. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are someone who has survived things you still haven't had words for. And that makes you holy. That makes you real. So the next time silence feels unbearable, don't run. Don't reach for noise. Just breathe, feel, listen, and maybe ask yourself this. What if the pain I carry isn't here to destroy me, but to show me the parts of me that are ready to heal? Letting go. We hear those words and think of loss, of cold detachment, of walking away with hands trembling and heart half full. But maybe we've misunderstood, because letting go isn't about giving up. It's about giving in to what's real, to what no longer fits, to what your soul has already outgrown. You've held on so tightly, to people who didn't see you, to roles that drained you, to expectations that turned your life into a checklist. You thought if you just held it all together, peace would come, love would stay, you would finally feel safe. But peace doesn't come from control, it comes from surrender. And love, true love, never asks you to shrink. There's a moment in every life where the weight becomes too much, where pretending becomes unbearable, where the constant noise no longer works. And that moment, though terrifying, is sacred. Because it's the beginning of return. Letting go is not the end of your story. It's the start of the one you were meant to live. The one where your worth isn't tied to productivity. where your value isn't determined by how well you're liked, where your presence is no longer conditional. It's the story where you stop chasing peace and start embodying it. Imagine walking barefoot on wet grass, no path, no plan, just breath and sky. That's what it feels like. To loosen your grip on everything they told you you had to be, to stop fixing, to stop performing, to stop trying to be understood by people who were never capable of hearing you. There's freedom in that kind of release, a quiet kind, not fireworks, but stillness, not applause, but alignment. And here's the paradox that no one tells you. The more you let go of being accepted, the more you become who you truly are. Because truth doesn't scream, it waits. It waits for you to get tired of pretending. It waits for you to put down the mask. And when you do, even for a moment, you'll feel it. The soft exhale, the holy yes. Letting go means making room for peace, for self, for silence that heals instead of haunts. It means trusting that you don't have to hold on so tightly for life to hold you. It means looking at the parts of you that are tired of fighting and saying, you can rest now. You don't need to explain yourself anymore. Not to those who don't see you. Not to the voice in your head that echoes old fears. Not to the past version of you that was just trying to survive. You can let go of the noise, of the roles, of the fear that you're falling behind. Because you're not. You're arriving, slowly, quietly, beautifully. And in this arrival, you'll find something unexpected. You were never missing anything. You were just carrying too much. So drop it. Drop the sword. Drop the story. Drop the need to prove. And walk, not away, but toward yourself. Toward a life that feels like breath instead of battle. Because real freedom isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It's just yours. And once you taste it, even for a second, you'll never settle for less again. There's a kind of silence that doesn't ask for anything. It doesn't judge, doesn't explain, doesn't try to fix. It just is. And in its presence, something inside you softens. Not because everything is okay, but because for once, you're not fighting yourself. You've spent so long searching, trying to get there, to peace, to meaning, to a version of yourself that feels whole. You thought it would come from answers, from clarity, from figuring it all out. But life isn't a problem to solve. It's an experience to surrender to. And surrender isn't weakness. It's the strength to stop resisting what already is. You've done enough. You've tried enough. You've been enough. Maybe now, it's time to just be. Sit with the moment. Not with your thoughts about the moment, but with the moment itself. Raw, real, unfiltered. The breath moving in and out. The weight of your body. The sound of nothing and everything. This is where healing begins. Not in understanding why you hurt, but in allowing the hurt to exist without shame, without narrative, without needing it to go away. The Buddhist path doesn't promise escape from pain. It invites intimacy with it, not to drown in it, but to see it clearly, so it no longer controls you in the dark. Suffering thrives in avoidance, but the moment you turn toward it, everything begins to shift. You realize the silence you feared was never empty. It was alive. Alive with truth. Alive with presence. Alive with a version of you that was always waiting to be met. Not the perfect version. Not the polished, healed, enlightened self you hope to become. Just you. Messy. Honest. Breathing. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's where peace has always been. Not in becoming someone new, but in embracing who's already here. So what now? Nothing. Don't rush to apply this. Don't turn it into a project. Just stay. Stay in the afterglow of realization. Stay in the soft place where striving dissolves. Stay in the silence that feels less like absence and more like home. Let the quiet wrap around you like a blanket. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath find its own rhythm. And if your mind tries to run, let it. But don't follow. Stay with the silence. Stay with the stillness. Let it hold you the way you've tried to hold everything else. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're just here. And here is holy. So when the world gets loud again, and it will, When the noise comes rushing back, just remember, you've touched something deeper, something no one can take from you, and you can return to it anytime. It's not in a place, it's not in a person, it's not in the future. It's in the space between your thoughts, in the pause between your inhale and your exhale, in the truth that no one sees, but you feel. So I'll leave you with this. What if the silence you fear is the voice of the self you've been waiting for? And what if all you need to do now is stop running and listen?